ADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar and Bissau. Good evening, and thank you for staying tuned to 94.9 FM West Africa Democracy Radio. Welcome to Newslink. First, our major stories. Senegalese and Moroccan authorities embrace diplomacy after recent tensions during AFCON 2025. Transitional authorities in Guinea-Bissau set December 6, 2026 for presidential and legislative elections.
If they organize this election, does it mean that we will have the same scenario as Gabon, Guinea-Conakry? Will they organize elections and not contest?
The Nigerian army dismantles over 100 illegal refining facilities in the Niger Delta region. And Ghana's multidimensional poverty index report shows a steady decline in their rating. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
On the news, this is Deborah Amour.
Many thanks for joining us. Newslink begins with a focus on Senegal and Morocco's relations following tensions that emerged after the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations final. Authorities in Dakar and Rabat are turning to diplomacy after the reported incidents during the tournament's final last Sunday. Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko said he spoke by phone on Tuesday with his Moroccan counterpart, announcing a joint high-level commission will meet in the capital at the end of January. More details with Christopher Aticho.
Senegal is turning to diplomacy to diffuse tensions following the 2025 AFCON final in Morocco. In a social media post, Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko said he held talks with his Moroccan counterpart, Agent calm, after Senegal's victory in a final in Rabat that was marred by violence. Both governments confirmed that the High Joint Partnership Commission will meet in Rabat on January 26 and 27, reaffirming the strength of bilateral ties built on deep human, religious and economic links. Preparations for this session began during talks in Dakar in November 2025 between Senegal's foreign minister and Morocco's ambassador. Morocco remains Senegal's leading African supplier. In the first 9 months of 2025, Senegal imported goods worth more than 109 billion CFA francs from Morocco, while exports to the kingdom reached nearly 86 billion CFA francs. The diplomatic outrage comes as 18 Senegalese nationals are being held in custody in Morocco over suspected involvement in the post-final violence.
Christopher Aticho with that report. In Guinea-Bissau, mixed reactions are trailing the declaration of the electoral calendar by the ruling military. Published on Wednesday, the election timetable sets December 6, 2026 for the presidential and legislative ballots. The announcement came months after the November 26, 2025 coup that took place just hours before the provisional results of the November 23 elections. Sankule Janko has more in the following report.
The election date by Transitional President Major General Hota Ntam in a decree issued in Bissau cited the transitional charter adopted in November 2025. The charter guarantees free, fair and transparent polls. In this context, Frederick Kwadi Ndeki, a regional governance expert, says the junta needs to put its house in order to fully implement the charter.
How are they organizing these elections with some of the opposition leaders who are still in jail, like Domingo Simões Pereira and some of his companions? Fernando Diaz is still in the Nigerian embassy in Bissau. If they organize this election, does it mean that we will have the same scenario as Gabon, Guinea-Conakry? Will they organize elections and not be contesting? All those things are to be clarified.
While the high-level ECOWAS mission to Bissau earlier this month by Sierra Leone's Madabio, the bloc's current chair, alongside ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliou Touré and Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, did not declare full details of the mediation talks. They demanded a short and consensual transition. Ndeki argues that the success of Guinea-Bissau's transition and preventing a repeat of the November 26 coup will depend on this process.
They need to hold a sincere dialogue which can lead to elections and bring the country back to normal order. They need a mediation from external institutions. It can be the AU, it can be ECOWAS. They need a mediator in that country if they want to do something serious.
It is also worth noting that the military authorities in Bissau recently approved a constitutional amendment, a move challenged by civil society and political groups, which have yet to react to the announced election timetable. Meanwhile, alongside ECOWAS, rights groups continue to demand the release of all political prisoners and the protection of state institutions.
Sankule Janko with that report. We head to Guinea, where the African Union says it is ready to lift sanctions imposed on the country following the coup d'etat of September 2021. In a statement issued on Thursday, the chairperson of the AU Commission said Guinea is now ready to regain its place within the Pan-African organization. According to the AU, the decision is motivated by the country's return to constitutional order with the election of General Mamadi Doumbouya. The announcement follows a visit by Guinea's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Morisanda Kouyaté, to the African Union headquarters in Addis Ababa. Still in Guinea, President Mamadi Doumbouya is dedicating his mandate to women and young people. The presidency says this commitment will place the concerns of these two social groups at the center of the government's priorities. While the announcement has been widely welcomed by Guinean women, many say they are now waiting for concrete action to be taken on issues affecting them. These include respect for gender parity, stronger promotion of women's rights, and an effective fight against gender-based violence. Augustine Colley completes the story.
Mahawa Silla, a market trader at Ratoma, welcomed the announcement that women will play a central role in the future governance of President Mamadi Doumbouya. She nonetheless urged the authorities to pay special attention to women in the informal sector, particularly by improving support mechanisms and access to administrative permits.
In Guinea, taking power means reaching out to women and young people. The president's choice is a positive one, placing women at the center of governance. We therefore urge him to act to reduce the cost of living for households and to create job opportunities for young people.
Kadiatu Konate, former coordinator of the Guinean Young Women Leaders Club, said the president's commitment must be backed by concrete action. She pointed to the need to uphold gender parity, tackle gender-based violence, and promote the economic and social empowerment of women.
Through this mandate, we call for concrete measures to protect and promote the rights of girls and women in Guinea. This includes inclusive appointments that respect gender parity, allocating budgets to support families, strengthening child protection services, providing full and free care for victims of gender-based violence, developing economic opportunities for women, and helping women formalize their initiatives so they can fully apply their skills for the country's economic development.
Following the presidential announcement, several women's groups and feminist organizations in Guinea say they are preparing a memorandum for General Mamadi Doumbouya, outlined in their key concerns and recommendations.
Augustine Colley voiced that report by WADL's Tiano Alpha Ibrahima Balde in Conakry.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In other news, Burkina Faso has confirmed the extradition of former transitional leader Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. In a statement, the Minister of Justice said he arrived in Ouagadougou on January 17 following an international arrest warrant issued 2 weeks earlier. But what risks does the former leader face given the charges against him? Abdullahi Hassan provides an analysis.
The former transitional president and ex-Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba has returned to Ouagadougou after more than 3 years in exile. He was extradited from Togo, where he had been living since his removal from power. He was overthrown on September 30 by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the current transitional president of Faso. According to a statement from Justice Minister Edaso Rodrigue Bayala, Several charges have been brought against the former officer who was dismissed from the Burkinabe army. These include preparatory acts against the safety and security of the state, embezzlement of public funds, incitement to commit offences, and money laundering. These acts are punishable under the Penal Code revised in December 2024 and December 2025. Does the ex-leader face the death penalty? Yes, according to the 2025 law revision, but only if the judge finds him guilty. The December revised law, which introduced the death penalty, specifically targets acts that threaten state security, including treason, espionage, and terrorism. However, Togo says it received formal guarantees from Burkinabe authorities regarding the physical integrity and dignity of Paul Henry Sandogo Damiba, ruling out the death penalty. If convicted, the December 2024 revisions will apply instead. For offences against state security, penalties range from 1 to 10 years, with criminal sentences of up to 20 years. For economic crimes such as embezzlement and money laundering, sentences range from 6 months to 10 years in prison, along with fines amounting to several millions of CFA francs. It should be noted that the former transitional president is not the only person implicated. According to Burkinabe authorities, the latest attempted coup involved several military personnel and civilians, some of whose confessions were recently broadcast on national television.
That was WADL's Martin Kaba's analysis presented by Abdullahi Hassan. In Nigeria, the air component of the Joint Task Force, Operation Delta Safe, says it has recorded major successes in the fight against crude oil theft and illegal refining. According to the military, more than 100 illegal refining sites were destroyed across the Niger Delta region in 2025 alone. Our Abuja correspondent, Yechenu Sasetu, reports.
No fewer than 131 illegal refining sites, alongside several crude oil theft facilities, were destroyed across the Niger Delta in 2025. The air component of the Joint Task Force Operation Delta Safe made this known during a media briefing in Port Harcourt. Air Component Commander Flight Lieutenant Aro disclosed that sustained air operations have significantly degraded the activities of oil thieves and other economic saboteurs operating in the oil region. This success, according to Aro, was the result of 495 operations. In addition to the illegal refining sites dismantled, the Joint Security Operatives destroyed 36 wooden boats, 23 reservoirs and dugout pits, and dismantled 125 storage tanks used for storing illegally refined petroleum products. These operations in Nigeria's oil-rich region have been commended by public commentators and analysts as part of efforts to boost the nation's economy and protect the ecosystem. Long-term data from the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, shows that Nigeria lost an average of $4.2 billion annually to oil theft over 10 years between 2009 and 2019. For WADR, Yechenu Sasetu reporting.
We cross over to the Gambia, where President Adama Barrow received the outgoing chief of the General Staff for the Senegalese Armed Forces in Banjul. General Mbaye Cissé's visit served as a farewell courtesy at the conclusion of his term. During the meeting, President Barrow commended General Cissé for his service and personal dedication to strengthening defense and security ties between the Gambia and Senegal. WADR's Banjul correspondent Sang Donal Mendy has the rest of the story.
Since the Defense and Security Cooperation Agreement was signed in Dakar in March 2017, the Gambia and Senegal have progressively strengthened their military ties. The partnership has enabled historic joint border patrols to combat armed bandit, drug and human trafficking and other cross-border crimes. Speaking during his farewell visit, the outgoing Chief of Staff of the Senegalese Armed Forces, General Mbaye Cissé, stressed his country's commitment to regional peace, praising the warmth and cooperation of Gambian forces.
As you know, Senegal is very engaged in the stabilization and the peace process in Gambia. Since 2017, we have deployed here military contingent, and it was an opportunity for us to renew our commitment to this regional peace.
For his part, Lieutenant General Mahmoud Ocham, Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, described the military cooperation between Banjul and Dakar as a practical, hands-on working relationship.
We have for the first time been able to talk among ourselves through the auspices of our Defense and Security Agreement, and had been able to organize joint patrols along our common border.
Senegal's General Mbaye visit highlights the long-standing ties between Senegal and the Gambia from colonial times through independence, with continued collaboration in trade, security, and regional development. In 2024, the two neighbors carried out a historic 3-day joint patrol across 30 villages along the North Bank border, marking one of the largest coordinated security operations in recent memory. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I am Sangdana Mendy reporting from Banjul.
You are listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal, and online at wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese and Moroccan authorities embrace diplomacy after recent tensions during AFCON 2025. Transitional authorities in Guinea-Bissau set December 6, 2026 for presidential and legislative elections. The Nigerian army dismantles over 100 illegal refining facilities in the Niger Delta region. And coming up in the news, Ghana's multidimensional poverty index report shows a steady decline in their rating. We also have the guest interview and sports news coming up. Please stay with us.
Fresh and breaking news all the time. Hear it first as the news breaks, only on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Liberia, former timber workers on Wednesday led a demonstration near the presidential residence over the government's failure to release long overdue payments. The workers are demanding $7 million in unpaid benefits, salaries, and compensation. Their protest underscores wider concerns about economic justice and the state's responsibility to honor commitments to citizens who supported the country's post-conflict logging industry. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
James Johnson, the group's spokesperson, said workers have exhausted their patience after nearly 2 decades of waiting. He stressed that they are appealing directly to President Bouakai to intervene and ensure that funds already approved for disbursement are released without further delay.
Over 19 years, going to 20 years, we are still perambulating in the corridor as a citizen in this country that work with the former foreign workers. People have died over the years. Their beneficiaries are yet to receive their money. Why must you be evil? 2 times we met the president in office.
The group's chairman, Robert Dipoti, added to the concerns, accusing the Minister of Finance of obstructing the payment process. He said the workers are determined to remain until their demands are met.
We, the former forest workers, under the banner of National Wood Construction and Allied Worker Union, we have gone to finance over 12 times on the money issue. So we deem it necessary to come with our petition this morning to the president. We are talking about 23,452 former forest workers across the country.
The situation is further complicated by the fact that many of the original workers have since died, leaving their beneficiaries to continue the struggle for justice. In September 2025, the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning confirmed that the outstanding payments will be made directly to individual workers rather than to any organization. However, the funds remain inaccessible, fueling mistrust and the triggering Wednesday's protest. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
Ghana's latest multidimensional poverty index report shows a steady decline in their rating, with more than 300,000 people moving out of poverty within a single quarter. However, the report by the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that deep rural and regional inequalities, along with poor living conditions and health-related challenges, continue to affect millions across the country. From Accra, Nadede Tete reports.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, multidimensional poverty declined from nearly 25% at the end of 2024 to just under 22% by September 2025. This means the number of people facing multiple deprivations such as poor housing, lack of sanitation, limited access to healthcare, education, and employment fell from about 8.2 million to roughly 7.2 million people. Notably, over 360,000 people exited poverty between the second and third quarters of 2025 alone. Despite this progress, the report highlights persistent inequality. Poverty remains more than twice as high in rural areas compared to urban centers. Regionally, the Northeast and Savannah regions continue to record the highest poverty levels, with more than half of their populations affected, while Greater Accra and Western regions remain the least affected. The report identifies health insurance gaps, poor nutrition, unstable employment, school attendance challenges, overcrowded housing, and inadequate sanitation as the strongest drivers of poverty. It also warns of emerging risks, including rising housing congestion and school attendance deprivation, which could undermine recent gains. The Ghana Statistical Service says targeted investment in health coverage, living conditions, education retention, and job creation are critical to sustaining progress and ensuring no community is left behind. For WDR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
And now for news beyond West Africa. American President Donald Trump, addressing a world gathering in Switzerland, officially launched his peace initiative known as the Board of Peace. Trump told delegates and business executives at the World Economic Forum in Davos that the platform will reconcile the Gaza conflict and much more. Trump, who serves as chairman of the group, said he hosted nearly 24 world leaders on the sidelines of the WEF for a signing ceremony. While representatives from multiple nations signed the organization's founding documents, details on the board's mandate as well as its charter were not immediately available. The Board of Peace will work simultaneously with the United Nations in the area of peace.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest is Frederick Kwadi Ndeki, a regional governance and security expert. Ndeki joins us for analysis of the just published electoral timetable by the military authorities in Guinea-Bissau, months after the November 26th coup. The announcement followed a recent visit to Bissau by a high-profile delegation from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, led by its chairperson, Sierra Leonean President Julius Maada Bio. The full details of the discussion were not made public, but the ECOWAS team demanded a shorter transition period and the release of all political prisoners, among others. Frederick Kwadi speaks.
These meetings, high-level meetings, they have some of the decisions which are not displayed. So people are asking this question. Was it a pressure from these heads of states who visited the country? Because people was like, okay, these people put pressure on them to leave power. And the hypothesis was that they should leave and confirm the elections which had been held and from which we were waiting the results. So how can they be planning another elections where the country just came out of elections and people were even saying that election went well and they should have the results? Did the heads of states of the ECOWAS approve this during that meeting with the junta, or is this their own initiative to put everything to zero and just restart another process? How are they organizing these elections with some of the opposition leaders who are still in jail, like Domingo Simon Pereira and some of his companions? One of the favori of the elections, Fernando Diaz, is still in the Nigerian embassy in Bissau. There are still many issues to address.
Indeed, Mr. Ndeki, like you've rightly stated, there are issues that need to be addressed by the military authorities, one of which will be making sure that this is quite inclusive and transparent enough. But then what are the stakes should they go ahead without really putting their house in order?
If they organize this election, does it mean that we will have the same scenario as Gabon, Guinea-Conakry, the neighboring Guinea-Conakry, with candidates from the putschists? Or will they organize elections and not be contesting? So those are all those things are to be clarified.
What do you say should be done by the authorities, military authorities now in Bissau, to ensure that the December 6th deadline is achieved and the country goes back to a constitutional order?
In this context now, and all these political tensions, if they go, knowing this country, if they go like this, just go and organize other elections, I am not sure that there will be a success. You might end up in worse than what we have now as a political situation in this country. It's good that they talk between them, seeing the positions that are radical now, some of them being jailed, and even those who have escaped the country and are now abroad. Some of the PSGC leaders are now among the diaspora. When you follow them or talk to them, you see that the positions are very radical at this point. How will they organize the elections and with these people? Or are they intending to again organize elections without PSGC, the two major parties? I heard them talk about changing the constitution. All those things, you can't just do it as a junta. You come, use your arms as a military, take power, and just be changing the law, fundamental law of a country like that. Even though some of the changes they have announced have been what people are saying, are recommending to the country for long now. The political system itself needs some changes because there is a political system they adopted from the colonial power Portugal, which is not adapted to the realities of the country. So everybody agreed that the country needs those changes, but it can't be done without legitimacy. They need to hold a sincere dialogue, which can lead to elections and bring the country back to normal order.
Frederick Kwadi Ndeki is a regional governance and security expert. And now for some sports stories. CAF has fined the Algerian Football Federation $100,000 and suspended 2 players following misconduct at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. The sanctions stem from violent scenes after Nigeria's 2-0 quarterfinal defeat to Nigeria on January 10 involving players, officials and supporters. CAF also cited security failures. Goalkeeper Lucas Zidane received a 2-match ban, while defender Rafik Belgali was suspended for 4 matches to be served during the 2027 AFCON qualifiers. Algeria has confirmed it will appeal. Meanwhile, African club football returns this Friday as the CAF Champions League and Confederation Cup resume for the 2025-2026 season. In Nigeria, Football Federation President Ibrahim Gusau says there are no plans to extend Super Eagles coach Eric Chele's contract. The Malian remains midway through a 2-year deal signed in January 2025 and is expected to lead upcoming friendly matches ahead of the 2027 AFCON qualifiers. With that, we have come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudo Diouf for the technical assistance. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a repeat broadcast of WADR's flagship environment program, Enviroscope. I'm Deborah Amuo. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kaigama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Banga, Liberia, Radio Baf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7 Wenchi, Ghana, we say a big thank you. Remember, West Africa Democracy Radio is all about you, your views, and your
WADR. You can listen to us on